Most successful women don't even realize they're stuck in survival mode. And it's probably killing your love life if you are. They feel it in their bodies. They can feel your tension. They feel rejected. They feel useless. And then they think, you're broadcasting to men, I don't need you. I'm too busy surviving to be loved.
It means gaining connectedness.
Yeah, but a woman who's in survival mode isn't present with you.
No, I mean, it's beating yourself against the wall. It's not going to happen.
Hello, everybody. I'm Lisa Shield.
And I'm Benjamin Shield.
And this is Getting Inside the Right Male Mind. So today, this handsome man here and I are going to talk about the invisible energy you're giving off that makes men pull away. So in this episode, Benjamin is going to reveal exactly what men feel when they're when you're in survival mode versus feminine flow. So he's going to talk about what men feel when they pick up that you're in survival mode. Most successful women don't even realize they're stuck in survival mode. And it's probably killing your love life if you are. So here's how you got here. You burned out from doing everything alone. That burnout pushed you into survival mode. You're always on, you're always managing things, your shoulders are tense, your jaw's tight, you can't even relax in bed. And then survival mode triggered protection mode, which means that you put your walls up, you have armor on, nobody gets in because you've got nothing left to give. You think you're just tired, but here's what men experience. They don't think she's exhausted. They feel it in their bodies. They can feel your tension. They feel rejected. They feel useless. And then they think, she doesn't want me here, or I'm bothering her. So your burnout feels to them like dismissal, like disinterest. And when you're in survival mode, you're broadcasting to men, I don't need you, I'm too busy surviving to be loved. And it kills the playfulness and the passion and the magic of romance. So in our course, Emotionally Naked Dating, we teach that you can be vulnerable when your nervous system is locked in fight or flight. So Benjamin can walk in a room and immediately feel whether, I'm in survival mode, if I'm tense or rushed or, managing him like a task and just wanting him to get out of the office, or if I'm in feminine flow where I'm present and playful and receptive. And today he's going to talk about exactly what shifts he feels in his body and mind when I move between these two states.
Well, I think speaking for myself, but speaking for men, that if I were sitting across from someone on a coffee date or a dinner date, and they were in survival mode, meaning that not just that things are going poorly in their lives, but they're just so busy, that some survival mode can be self-inflicted.
Have you been around women that are in survival mode?
Oh, absolutely.
And you can tell.
Absolutely. Well, you can tell because first, they feel insulated. It's difficult for a man to know how he could possibly fit into her life because she's so busy or so overwhelmed, or that he immediately goes to a caretaking mode. If she's, just say, look, I'm so exhausted. I'm so busy, and this, that he doesn't know really how to deal with that because that's not so much conversational, and he's trying to figure, do I be a caretaker? Do I try to get her out of that mood? Wow. It's unsettling, and it doesn't lead to a second date.
I never heard that described before like that. Yeah, that would be awful because men really want to help.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're on a date with a woman and she's talking about all of her pressures and everything that's going on, or she's just disconnected.
And sometimes when in my dating life, which was decades ago,
that's good to know.
if a woman were, really talking about how busy she was, the trouble with her brother or her boss or whatever, a man across from her, and myself included, would feel like we're witnesses, that it doesn't matter who's sitting across from her, at that moment.
Wow.
That we're just listening and taking it in, and there's nothing we could really add to the conversation.
And there are probably a lot of women that go on dates and do this. Like they're talking about what's in their life or what's going on or whatever. But
they mistake it for openness and vulnerability,
mm-hmm.
where actually it's insulating and it's avoiding vulnerability.
And it's really going to turn a man off.
Yeah, well, it's certainly not going to turn him on.
Wow. What would go through your mind if you were listening to that?
How many more courses were to the dinner? I mean, there was one, I think we've all had dates, men and women, we've all had dates. I had one date where I just was listening, and the person, it was a blind date, and was just talking about how, her brother, her boss, all of this. And it was, and as she was talking, she wasn't eating. So, I was thinking, she was still on her salad, we still had the entree. And when dessert came, it's not something I'm proud of, but I think it was the only thing I could do. I just said, would you like that to go? Because I couldn't take another, 40 minutes on that. So, there was just it wasn't a conversation. And so I was just witnessing someone who is overwhelmed, in survival mode, angry, frustrated, whatever. But something like that could be a conversation starter,
mm-hmm. rather
than a conversation stifler. That if someone is saying that, I have to say that I'm really exhausted. This is a really busy time for me, but I wanted to show up because I wanted to meet you. And, so if I'm not at my best, understand that, but know that I really want to be here, and that's why I'm here. Something like that. And she could even say, have you ever, had times like that where you're just so tired, and you're not showing up at your best, but you're showing up, and particularly with someone who you really want to meet.
Mm-hmm.
So it could, exhaustion, survival could turn it into a compliment to the gentleman sitting across from her.
Yeah, and I see that is where one would want to go, where someone would want to go. Sometimes I think women who are in survival mode don't even realize they're in survival mode. They're going from one thing to the other. Yeah. And you're giving a great suggestion of just take a deep breath. Yeah. If you are, try to be, if you're aware that you're stressed and that you're on overload, to at least communicate that to the man sitting across from you.
And I think the first step, even before that, is just witnessing the state that we're in. That wow, I'm my shoulder's a little tight, or maybe I could just look in the mirror and breathe and just, or take a walk, listen to some music. We always, we all have our playlist, and listen to some music that will either excite us or relax us, or whatever we're lacking could really bring us to that level that we want to be, when we show up with it for another person.
Mm-hmm. Or a podcast, a short YouTube that's uplifting and
Absolutely.
Positive. So how does a man interpret, like when a woman isn't conscious that she's, overwhelmed and she's in survival mode and she goes on a date, how would a man interpret that energy?
Well, the energy is anything but playful. And when two people get together, yes, they want compatibility, but they also want to know that they could have fun together, and there could be playfulness. And because when there's not playfulness, the wrong word at the wrong time could be like chipping a diamond, and the crack just spreads over days. But if someone's playful, it just glides off their mental state.
And how would the man feel? Does he feel rejected? Does he feel uncomfortable? How do men feel when they're...
I don't think he feels rejected. He may have been really looking forward to meeting this woman, so he may feel disappointed. He may feel that it's not satisfying. It's like what Maya Angelou said. It's and I'm paraphrasing, but it's not what you say. It's how the other, how you feel after the conversation. And two people could know that there's not going to be a second date, and it could be a tremendous first date. Just because there's openness, there's playfulness, there's conversation. It may not be a match.
But still can be a wonderful time and connection.
But survival mode narrows our perception. And it's hard to be playful. Playfulness is widening our perception. It's just thinking of the next, just having fun, like two puppies playing. And, you could just imagine if one of two dogs or both dogs were in survival mode, they wouldn't be playing.
Right.
You really want to, have that as a role model.
Which is what we want on a date. That's what we're really looking for.
What we are looking for in a relationship, a long-term relationship.
Can a man tell the difference? I think this is a great question or a great distinction between a woman who's independent and a woman who's in survival mode?
Well,
or does it matter?
I think a woman could still be independent, but looking for connectedness. I think you could have both. So being in a relationship doesn't mean giving up independence. It means gaining connectedness.
Yeah, but a woman who's in survival mode isn't present with you.
No.
You feel that she's not present.
No, and that would be the one cure for, on a date, is really being present. Because, if someone is checking their phone, checking their watch, or
just checked out,
or tapping their feet, breaking contact, just looking at people as they're walking into the restaurant, a man just feels like, she's not into me. And why have a second date? And why go through that again?
And that's the rejection piece I was talking about.
Well, yeah, there is some rejection.
That she's not into you.
Yeah. I think more discernment than rejection.
Yeah. What is it like to try to create chemistry with a woman? We can pause.
Why pause?
Oh, I thought that you were making a gesture like I was asking you a question that was off topic.
No.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. So we can fix that. So, honey, what's it like to try to create chemistry with a woman who is in survival mode? Because that's what you really want to do.
Yeah, it's beating yourself against the wall. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
There's not going to be one moment where suddenly someone changes. Ideally chemistry happens with being present. And when two people are present, and many of us have done kind of these group exercises, that just looking into each other's eyes or touching foreheads or just being present with another person, that magnetizes two people. But if someone isn't present, it's repelling. It's like the opposite of two magnets attracting. It's the two sides repelling.
Well, and I can also imagine that a woman who is in survival mode, she's just going from one thing to the next, kind of, and she would go from work to a date, and each is just something to cross off of her to-do list, including that date.
Yeah.
And that would be part of, I think, why so many women are not, they're going on dates and not connecting with the men. And then they're walking away just saying, oh, there was no chemistry.
Well, I think what happens when a woman is in survival mode, that because there's playfulness that's lacking, that she'll often ask a lot of questions just to keep the conversation. And that is for a man, that can be intolerable. It could seem like homework. Because we've all been on dates where we've just answered questions and it's been dull, it's been painful.
Well, and I think what the women do is they walk away and they tell themselves, I was so interested in him and I was asking him all these questions about himself and he didn't ask me anything about myself. And the truth is the man feels like he's under a microscope and he hates it.
Right, it's just like answering homework. It's just like this question, this question, this question. And he's almost afraid to give something in return because it may just lead to another question. A man, again, both people ideally are looking for playfulness. They're looking for openness. And, men kind of wait for puzzle pieces to float across the table to them and they put it together. They don't ask a lot of questions. And part of the reason they don't ask a lot of questions, they don't feel comfortable answering a lot of questions. There's such a thing as two people coming in relaxed, feeling like they're enough at that moment in time, and just being with each other.
Yeah, and I want to just make one point. Men are not only looking for playfulness. That's not all they're looking for.
No, but they're looking for playfulness.
But they are looking for playfulness, and it is an essential ingredient of a truly successful, fulfilling relationship.
Yeah.
Being able to have that. And if a man, especially most high caliber men, men that really have a lot to offer and are very masculine men, they want playful women. They need that. That's one of the key components. And being in survival mode completely wipes that out.
Right.
That's like you said, it's a non-starter.
Yeah. And men could be in survival mode also, of course. Of course.
But they often will pull themselves out of the running because they can't multitask. Right. Isn't that true, though?
I think that when a man is in survival mode, he may be looking for, because the need for touch and physical intimacy, he may be looking for short-term relationships rather than long-term.
Yes, that's a good point. That's a really good point. So he'll go out and he'll sleep with women or he'll date women, but he can't commit to something, anything more serious.
He's giving the maximum he can give, which isn't enough.
That's really sad. Well, I think it's sad. I think we don't recognize these behaviors sometimes. So a man with who's maybe insecure might find a woman who's in survival mode, and if he feels he can rescue her, he may do that or try.
Or a woman who's in survival mode, he knows may not be looking for, he may feel that she's not looking for a long-term relationship or really any relationship at all, beyond, a night or two. He doesn't get that vibe, so he acts differently. A man who really sees a woman who moves slowly, who is relaxed, who feels comfortable in her body at a date, who is dressed comfortably, wears just enough makeup to make herself feel good, and who isn't performing, that is a woman who is looking for a long-term relationship. She's showing up, as opposed to it's almost as if her perspective widens rather than narrows, and with that widened perception, there's a lot of playfulness, there's a lot of intimacy, vulnerability, openness, and again, with vulnerability, with openness, we want to start out slowly, seeing how it's received and responded to make sure it's safe. But there's a very good chance that the woman would begin that process of a open, vulnerable, nurturing conversation.
Do you think a woman who is in survival mode should heal first before she dates?
No, because time isn't going to get her out of survival mode.
So what will?
I think that being able to witness how she is and how she may appear to the person sitting across from her, to see how open she is to relationship, how open she is to the date. And if someone is just rushing, they're showing up at the date, just, getting there just in time or a little bit after, a man could just feel it. There's no entry. There's no vulnerability. There's no openness. It's just like she made it to the date, and
he picks up on her anxiety immediately.
Oh, yeah, and it makes a man anxious.
Yeah.
And that is the antithesis of playfulness.
Right. So playfulness is one thing, right? But also vulnerability. As you said, being able to say, I really wanted to meet you, and I am going through some things right now, or whatever. I think one of the problems is that when women get vulnerable or they start sharing about what's going on, they share too much.
It could be dumping.
Yeah, they just open up and start dumping, and then a lot of women think that's being vulnerable when it's dumping. And that's also just a showstopper right there.
Yeah. It's not conversational.
Mm-hmm. So what does she do? How does a woman say to a man, I've got, there's some things going on, or be authentic so that she can be real on the date and maybe drop that and step into playfulness? But those things are really going on. She's under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I think if a woman feels stressed entering a date or being on a date, for her to take even a very visible deep breath, and that's like a palate cleanser, and it changes the atmosphere.
And I'm going to pause you. I want everybody who's listening right now, just take a deep breath.
And something could be, the conversation could have gone negative. It could have been about problems. It could have been about politics. It could have been about the wait staff, the food, anything. And then just a deep breath, it just wipes everything clean. And it's almost like the permission just to start over and say, I realize that how stressed I was, not because of the date. I've been looking forward to the date, but just in my life, and I didn't want to bring it here. So forgive me if I brought it to the table, because I really want to get to know you, and I want you to get to know me. Everything starts with the breath.
Wow, it's beautiful. It's really beautiful. What if a woman thinks, but I'm so wound up, I can't even see myself. Like I really am literally going from one thing to the next. I'm on autopilot.
And take 5 seconds, just look in the mirror, look into your own eyes, take a breath. What is that, about 5 seconds, 7 seconds? And go from there.
Yeah.
Because it has to be a pattern interrupt. Yeah. There has to be a pattern. If someone is in survival mode, if someone is stressed, if someone is bringing their own troubles into the date, there has to be a pattern interrupt to change that. And it could happen before the two people meet. We talked about listening to a favorite song on a playlist.
Yeah.
Maybe going for a 5-minute walk, a good investment in time.
Petting your dog.
Yeah.
Hanging out with an animal. They light up, they put us in our hearts.
Yeah.
Or a child.
Yeah. And even something you do, which is putting the hand on the head and putting the hand on the heart, and asking, are we more in our head or are we more in our heart? We want to be in both, but it's when we're in survival mode, we're in our head.
And I would even take what you said about looking in the mirror and looking into your own eyes and literally saying, I love you. Looking in your own eyes and saying, I love you, and connecting with yourself, because when you're in survival mode, you're completely disconnected from yourself.
Yeah. Well, looking in the mirror and saying, I've been stressed, I've been busy, I've been overwhelmed, and just recognizing that, and then saying, and I'm going to show up the best that I can be. I'm not going to be performing. I'm just going to be the best of who I am.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I think it's, it's like a double bind for women. They're already stressed, and then they're feeling stress about being stressed. Right. This is what women do.
It's the feeling about the feeling that gets us. It's not, when feelings are pure, they're actually exhilarating. If we truly feel how much stress we're under, how busy, if we truly embody it for even a moment, it could be exhilarating. It's when we start doing the yes buts or the feelings about the feelings get in the way.
Which puts us up here.
Exactly. But when we embody what's going on, we embody it.
And you can say, this is just stress.
Yeah.
That's, and acknowledge what it is without judging it, and just say, I am overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Or I am stressed in this moment. I'm feeling stressed. And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. I mean, we all feel all of these emotions. That's the thing. I think burnout and, overwhelm, this all comes from suppressing our emotions. And running from them, because when you're suppressing them and you're not looking at them, you can't change the channel.
Right.
You have no choice.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to think, just in kind of bouncing ideas off, that there really are some very simple things that women can do so that they don't have to go into, I can't date, I'm overwhelmed, I can't do this. It's good for them to know that there's just simple things that can bring you into the moment.
Yeah, and if there's time, change your clothes from the office. Wear
Take a shower.
That makes you feel good. Makeup that makes you feel good without, it's these things you're doing for yourself. You're not necessarily doing it for the person you're going to meet, but you're doing it for yourself first.
Yeah, yeah. And it's important to know that you don't have to always be on. And playfulness is nice, and if you can create that space for that to come in, that's wonderful. but it's also okay to be in your heart and to be authentic and genuine and talk about, I do have so much going on right now. And I took a deep breath. I went home. I got in the tub for a little while just so that I could show up here and be present with you. That is a beautiful thing to say to a man, and that's a conversation starter, not a conversation ender.
Yeah, and if nothing works, and a woman is on a date, and she really likes the guy, she could just say, I wish I were at my best, and I hope we have a second date that I could show you my best.
Yeah. Well, I love this conversation. It's not one we usually talk about,
Right.
so I don't tend to get overwhelmed.
Right.
I don't think I live in overwhelm, but I also would put out there that a big part of that is that I am in a loving, nurturing, fulfilling relationship that feeds my soul and, with the guardian of my soul. And I think you feel the same. And so, even when things are stressful, we can talk about them and we can hold each other and be there for each other, which really does alleviate a lot of this. And it's why we need partnerships so badly. It really is, especially for women. We're not meant to be going and doing and in survival mode.
Yeah.
We want to be nurtured and we want to nurture.
Yeah. And I think that one of the things about our relationship, it's safe to be stressful and say, wow, I'm so stressed, or I'm so upset, or I'm so disappointed in something, or in myself, or in something out in the world. And I think when someone doesn't have that they insulate all those feelings.
Yeah.
And the ability to have a safe place just to say, I'm just so stressed today, that it just takes the burden off.
Yeah. And we have such permission to be ourselves in this relationship. It's okay. Like, we give each other full permission to have bad days or a bad moment or to struggle. So, and there's room for that, especially because we have so much playfulness. We're there. So I so appreciate this. There's so much more I could say about, the signs of being, overwhelmed and in survival mode or burned out. You can find so many videos online about those things. And if you think that you are, start looking into this, because it is something you can change in yourself. You don't have to go through life burned out and, in survival mode. There are so many ways, so many small things that you can do to get through this so that you can attract a wonderful partner into your life and have somebody whose cup you can fill and who will fill your cup. Right. So thank you, baby. I have a free webinar coming up on December 19th. It's right around the corner, or 9th, December 9th. And I would love to see you on it. Our live webinars are just wonderful. And there will be live Q&A at the end, so you can ask me all of your questions. And I can't tell you I have all the answers, but I'm going to try.
It's 5 o'clock Pacific time.
It's 5 o'clock Pacific time, and it is 8 p.m. Eastern time. So please join me for that. You'll find the link in my bio or underneath this video. If you can't find it, please just message me, and we read all the comments. So put them in the chat. If you're feeling like you're overwhelmed and you're in survival mode, I'd love to hear your thoughts and hear your thoughts on some of the things Benjamin said about just taking a breath, about just noticing, acknowledging that you're in survival mode and just letting that be okay, acknowledging the feelings, letting them move through you. Did some of his suggestions work? Maybe you went on a date and you tried this out. Please let us know. We love to hear from you. You can write to me as well at lisa@lisashield.com. This has been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us. And this has been Getting Inside the Right Male Mind. I'm Lisa Shield.
And I'm Benjamin Shield.
And we will see you next time. Bye-bye.